Okay, we are live. Uh-oh, and we're missing Miss Lisa's head. Hi, Lisa.
So,
Thank you guys for joining us again. I've been trying to get this together for the last hour or so. Anyway, welcome to this live. My name is Maggie Lazar, and I am a happily retired nurse practitioner, and I am living in Panama. The purpose of this live is, I have multiple Facebook pages. I'm on Instagram. I refuse to go on TikTok. I'm holding back. I'm adding another one. But in Panama, we have a lot of people who are retiring and moving here. And it's not just people my age. We're talking about young families. I've met some families from South Africa and the US and Canada. So we have lots of Facebook pages with multiple questions. People are always asking the how to's, how do I transition, about rental, about buying and services. So, and I belong to a lot of them. And I know Lisa, you also belong to a lot of them. But what I haven't seen in my area is a channel or a page that is solely dedicated to people who are retired or looking into retirement. Those people, they belong to those groups as well, and they're asking those questions. But I think it would be nice to have a repository, like, one little area, build community where people can ask their questions and everything is going to focus on people like us. So I want to welcome Lisa Lee. I didn't even know that your last name was Lee. I heard Mama Lisa because that's what I know you as. Now, I already said I'm a nurse practitioner. I retired early about 3 years ago, and I had been coming to Panama for the last few years, even before COVID. And then in 2022, I decided to take the jump and come to Panama and become a resident. But that was spurred by like an early spur of the moment retiring. Oh, okay, forget this. I'm out of here, kind of thing. So in my search for information, I came across Mama Lisa. I was on one of those Facebook groups, and people were talking about. I don't even know that you remember that, Lisa. People were talking about where they go to visit, where they go into expat, and they're saying, "Oh, Africa is a big draw. Kenya, Rwanda, of Ghana." And Lisa posted, "Well, I'm in Madagascar, and nobody thinks of coming to Madagascar. I would host anybody with." I'm like, "Oh, Africa, Madagascar." This is how Madagascar came onto the, you know,
right.
in the picture for me. So that's how I met Lisa, and she had been a breath of fresh air. She was very courteous about sharing information, and I even applied to Madagascar when it was offered to me. But anyway, that's a conversation for another time. So right now, this program is really, this talk today is to show people that what retirement is and can be. And what I'd like to do too is kind of talk about some of the myths about what retirement is. I don't like that word because it's kind of misleading. So Lisa, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and let the folks know who you are. And I'm learning about you too because I don't know what I think I should know about Miss Lisa Lee.
Okay. I'm 67 years old. I retired early at the age of 60 when I joined the Peace Corps.
Ah,
And I chose Madagascar because my Lee ancestors originated there. The Peace Corps nowadays, they allow you to choose where you want to serve. Back in
right.
the day, when I first learned of Peace Corps back in 1964, you went where they sent you, and adios, take care, we'll see you tomorrow, kind of thing. Um,
Adios, amigo.
so I chose Madagascar. I ended up teaching there for 2 years, and almost 2 years. And when I finished my service, I left Madagascar briefly to move to Belize, which I
Right. I think I
hate.
read that.
I did not. Belize was not a good fit for me. Um,
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
people swear by Belize, but it's not for me. And so
To which is going. Yeah.
9 later, I moved back to Madagascar and I stayed there an additional 4 years. So I started a nonprofit there, MamaLizaCares.org. Mama Lisa, Mama Leeza cares.org. When I was Peace Corps, my first host while I was in training in the Peace Corps training, the Peace Corps Training Center in Madagascar is located in a tiny village called. And my host family, the husband and wife were both younger than my daughter, but I was supposed to call them Nini and Papa, mom and dad. And it just, I couldn't do that. So they started calling me Mama Lisa. And that's where that mom came
The
from.
name stuff. Yeah.
Me, Mama Lisa. And so I just stuck with it. And now everybody in Madagascar knows me as Mama Lisa. And I think most of them probably don't know my last name.
That's what I know you as.
It's my Malagasy. I have a Lisa Lee Facebook page that I never use, but my new one, Malagasy Lisa, is what everybody uses.
Yes, yes.
I stayed there, and the nonprofit was devoted to taking care of supporting orphanages, kids with special needs, and critters, dogs and cats, and their owners.
Yes, she's an animal lover.
Yeah, I'm an animal lover, absolutely, and I love kids. And I was teaching arts and crafts every Wednesday to the orphanages, on Sundays at the juvenile detention center, and then going out twice a week in the neighborhood and feeding dogs, and then taking the vet around with me every month to catch the stray females and give them Depo-Provera shots to keep them from going into heat, because that's here. We didn't have the facilities to spay them. We couldn't get the oxygen. And if you spay a dog, you've got to put her out, and you need the anesthetician. We didn't have any access to any of that. Depo-Provera shot. We could neuter the males in the field. Just owners grab them, little local anesthesia, snip, snip, done.
Oh.
And the males are actually more effective. If you can for male.
Yeah, that's true.
Or unwanted pregnancies, and if you know
right,
males, you know how they do. And so, but COVID came, shut down our borders for 2 years. And then because Madagascar is so far from California, where my kids live, it's 1 week of travel round trip to get from Majenga. And my daughter was like, Mom, I only have so much vacation time. And, and my kids just would never come to visit me. It was just too far. So I hadn't seen them in 4 years. So last October, I finally came back to the States for like a couple weeks, and the plan was to do a workaway in Jamaica, and just do a workaway a month here, a month there, and explore Jamaica like that. But no, I went to my first workaway, and it was a nightmare. And
I was reading about that. So can you tell people what workaway is? Because that might be a question.
.info is a website where you can go in and volunteer to work for people in exchange for free room and board. It's basically a cheap way to travel if you don't mind sharing your skills.
Right.
And this lady who advertised this work said that she wanted to start these programs for teens with teen counseling and empowering. Oh, right. This is up my alley, because I've been
right up your alley, yeah.
But then I get there.
The whole story.
She basically had quit her job and had no money and no savings. Decided she wanted to start a travel business, and she wanted me to build it for her from scratch for free, right there. And that was bad enough. The next thing, I was sleeping in the living room. In a workaway, you're supposed to provide them with a private bedroom, so I had no. And the third thing was, I said, okay, well, what kind of tours you want to lead? Oh, I don't know. How much you can charge? Oh, I don't know. She had no clue. And so coming up with the name of the business. I mean, so after like a week, I'm pulling my hair, trying to get the basics from her, because this is not what I thought it was going to be. But she's such a nice lady, and I really want to help her. But it was just an untenable situation. So I called my friend in Madagascar who works for Peace Corps. I said, oh my God. She said, Lisa, you got to get out of there. And so a week later, I was gone. I told her that I had to get back for some legal issues regarding my father's estate, so that, she wouldn't lose face. I mean, I didn't want to hurt her, because I said,
right.
But you don't quit your job and then decide to start a business with no money and no income, no savings. And
Well,
then
you
no,
know, people do that in the US too. Yeah, they do that.
but I am going to do another workaway. I'm going to Guatemala in March, and I'm
Okay.
at a dog shelter, which is
Oh
you know, I love dogs. I love dogs.
my God. This is what this is all about. Look at her, 67. Look at that face.
Thank you.
She doesn't look 67, and then she's still engaged and doing things. And this is what I want people to understand, that the word retirement doesn't mean that you go somewhere and you park yourself in a chair. I mean, you know, with life expectancy now, let's assume we retire at 60, right, Mama Lisa? And you live to be 90, 95.
No, I'm planning to live to 120. That's my plan.
Oh, there you go.
Just so you know, an active 120. You know, I'm not gonna be in anybody's wheelchair. You know, and
That's a whole different life, you know, lifetime
but
that you have to create.
I'm trying to live my life in service to others.
Yeah.
And now that I'm retired, I finally have the time to do all those things I wanted to do, like working with the orphanages, like working with the like working with the dogs and the cats. When I was time, who had time?
We didn't have time.
And now I can just go and give my talents all over. Now I'm going to give my talents in Guatemala, working with dogs there. And that's, my life is just so good. And time I've reapplied to Peace Corps to work with them in Costa Rica doing community development, working with small business owners to try to help them, you know, boost their businesses and stuff. And we'll see, fingers are crossed, arms, legs, everything, to see if Peace Corps offers me this position in Costa Rica, because I really want it. But we'll see. You know, Peace Corps, I love Peace Corps. I mean, I can't say enough good things. When I was Peace Corps, I hated
at some point we can talk about my experience with the Peace Corps, but this lady here, she completed her Peace Corps tour. I did not. I took it out.
Well, no, I took a med step.
Did you?
I had 5 months left to go, but I was living in a house that Peace Corps, it was new to Peace Corps. The house was full of black mold. And I ended up in the hospital for 11 days. And when I got to Peace Corps, you got to move me. They said, we're not going to move you. This is the new location for us. We just spent all this money and we got a 5-year lease. And either you can go back there for the rest of your tour or you can do a med separation. So I took a step and left 5 months early because
you know what?
62. I don't need to be breathing in black mold.
That's one of the reasons I left. My health it wasn't worth it to me. I did the calculations. I wasn't sleeping. There were huge spiders on my walls when I was up in the morning. That's part of the course, right? I was sleeping on the side with lights on all night long, and you know, like napping. And I would wake up and I would stand with the light of my phone. Like my blood pressure was down, would not go down. I'm like, okay, Maggie. I said, if I stay here for 2 years, first of all, the diet was not helping me. I said, I'm gonna be fat again, and I might have a stroke. I'm like, it's just not worth it. Now, you know, we talk about in-service retirement, like your experience. We want to serve, but not to a point where we stress out about the whole thing, right?
And when I saw that you left before you swearing in, it broke my heart because
it broke mine too, because it wasn't really even, I wasn't even thinking that. But when they looked at me and they said, "You were this close," I said, "Close to what?" I said, "I'm volunteering. You teaching me a tribal language that is really hard. You know the best way for me to learn is to just be on, you know, on the ground with the people. That's how it's going to work." But then they're like, "Oh, we would allow you to do this." And then I'm like, you know what? That's probably, and then it was like, just came to me. It was like a spur of the moment thing. But anyway.
Peace Corps is really designed for young kids, young white kids, basically. Yeah. And I really wish that they would set up a separate department to deal with just mature volunteers.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, there were 8 of us. There were 8 of us who were kind of mature, yes. Wow. And 3 nurses, if you can believe that. 3 of us were nurses.
The nurses. Oh my God.
All 3 of us left.
Because Peace Corps is not providing you with the support that you need.
I said, I don't know what that says about nurses. And this girl from Alaska, she said, yeah, we just don't take all the BS. I was like, okay. Yeah,
Girl, we don't
I
have,
know.
when I was Peace Corps, I hated Peace Corps because of all that stuff, all the
Yeah,
regulations designed to keep these young white kids safe. I'm like,
yeah,
oh, I'm 6 years old. And so the Peace
yeah,
Corps give me a lot of leeway and look away when I
yeah.
was doing stuff I wasn't supposed to, because they knew I had the life experience, I could deal with it.
Right,
But
right.
I really wish that they would look at, it's a missed opportunity, in my opinion, looking
It
at all
is.
the volunteers.
But we did do like an exit interview with the what do they call it, field director or whatever, as to why my reasons, and we had a nice chat. So I'm like, we need to really look into certain things. So whether
It,
that comes
it,
to fruition, I don't know.
at
But
least,
anyway,
Peace Corps makes it really easy for you to leave. They want you out of country like within
and then
72
the
hours.
next day
Finally,
you're on the
bye.
plane.
Yeah,
The next
they
day.
try to change your mind. Okay, this ain't,
We can do another talk. Hopefully, we will come back. We'll talk about our
okay.
tour experience. But anyway, I want to welcome Kathy and Cheryl who are watching. Thank you so much. Anyway, if you're watching on the replay, remember this channel, this page, In Service Retirement. This is where we're going to put all the information about retired people. And I know some people will be watching, they're thinking of retirement, or some of us are already here. I went to some kind of a social event the other day, and there were so many of us older folks just coming in, and people are starting businesses. And this lady said, oh, I just came with my handicapped sister, and I'm looking to see what kind of services they may have in Panama. Well, I have to tell you, Panama City is not handicap friendly in terms of driving or using a scooter or wheelchair. So a lot of information needs to be had. People really need to do their due diligence. And a lot of times people are thinking of retiring here and all their information is taken from Facebook. Some of
And
the questions they're asked.
and some of it's good, but a lot of it's not. And one of the questions,
Exactly. And they're asking legal questions. I said, have you consulted an attorney? This is who you need to talk to. Don't take my word for like, how do I get residency? I can tell you, but I don't know the details of your particular case. I want to buy a house. Oh, like this person would say, well, I have $200,000 to spend. You advertise.
yeah, put all your business out on Facebook. Here's my social security number, date of
Oh
birth. Is my mother's maiden name. Take
my
it
God. Oh my God. But
down.
anyway, what I wanted to talk about was we want to really dispel some myths about this retirement thing because I think, all the other channels of people talking about exiting, black sitting, and people are so stressed out, they're in toxic relationships or work environments or whatever the reason is. We as Americans, I feel, have bought into the lie that you have to work from the time you finish college to like 65. I haven't done research to see why they came up with that age, and now it's creeping up. Every year it goes up. My retirement age is 67 years and 8 months. If you go to socialsecurity.gov, and that's when they tell you you should get your full benefits. In fact, there was a question about this woman asking, "Oh, is it worth it to retire early?"
It's worth it to retire early.
I
Absolutely.
retire early
I started
because
taking
due to
my,
the math.
I was still Peace Corps and I was 62. And it was wonderful because Peace Corps only paid me $200 a month. That was my limit.
Exactly, they pay
Now I
you.
got
They
this
give
little
you.
check coming in. I had custom furniture built. I was taking trips. I was doing all kind of shit. I was just, like this.
Uh huh.
I
Uh huh.
had so much fun the first couple of months. I didn't know what to do with myself. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I did stuff.
Well, I think peaceful for me was attractive for that too. But at the end of the day, I have to say, which is better for me, my health or,
Oh, absolutely.
having,
And I
you
left
know.
for my, yeah,
And
absolutely.
again, this is what I tell people when they say, well, 65, if I retire early, I'm like, you just have to know you and know what your standard of living is look at your lifestyle and see how much you need to live, right? Because when I retired early, I took what we call a pay cut until my full retirement age. But I was like, I can do with that. I can deal with it. So you adjust, what you want, what your vision of retirement is, and you try to live within your means.
Well, let me tell you this. I retired at 62 with no savings. I had sold my house up in the Oakland Hills. I'd split the proceeds between my kids. I gave away my 7 Series BMW. I either gave away or I sold a few things, but I pretty much gave away everything. I just wanted to black it and be done with all my.
Yep,
So
yep.
my only income is my Social Security. And I'm able to live a very comfortable life overseas, a very, very comfortable life, and still is sending money back to Madagascar every month and helping the dogs and the kids with special needs and all this. And because I'm living a simple life,
Exactly.
I don't ever
Exactly.
I never want or need to own any more real estate or a car. I'm the public transit queen. Um,
Me too.
oh yeah, I
I'm
mean,
in those streets every day, and
yeah,
I bus, I metro, I do Uber once in a while.
and so and then and one of the questions I get more than anything is what about healthcare? As you get
Mhm,
older, we have
mhm,
to be cognizant of that because our bodies are starting to break down. Well, one of the things,
mhm,
I'm vegan. I eat a plant
mhm.
diet, and that's one of the
I'm
reasons
plant-based.
is to try
Mhm,
to stay above the curve, ahead of the curve.
mhm, mhm.
So, I do yoga, I do meditation, I do a lot of not super exercise, but I'm fit. I'm in a pretty good shape.
You
And
are for 67, yes,
but
ma'am.
but I have no health insurance. And because I live outside the US, I have the Medicare Part A, which is hospitalization. I don't have anything else. So now
Yeah,
that I'm back here for a few weeks visiting my kids, I need a pap smear, I need a mammogram, I need,
I remember. Mhm.
so Planned Parenthood, for the pap smear. I found a nonprofit clinic that will do my mammogram for free, and I need to get my teeth clean. And I can do things, and I'm used to paying out of pocket. So when I'm living in Madagascar, I'm paying
Mhm.
everything out of pocket. I go to private doctors, private hospitals, private clinics. I had a colonoscopy done in Madagascar before I came back. It cost me $46.
Oh my God.
In the U.S., how many thousands of dollars would it? Now I was
Yeah.
whole procedure. In the U.S. they knock you out, but in Madagascar you're awake while you're looking at them on the screen. Girl, it was an experience. It
Oh
was,
my God, I can only imagine. Wow.
yeah, I didn't realize they pump your guts full of air so that the
So
tube
they
can
can
go. So
see.
the
Yeah.
pressure was uncomfortable,
Oh, you
but
felt the pressure.
I got to see the inside of my intestine, and I thought it'd be like gray and with ganglia
Was
hanging.
it nice and pink?
But it looks pristine. It looked pink and fresh. I'm like, wow.
Oh,
So
that vegan cooking.
yes, so it was a little different than in the U.S.
Yeah.
Those are some of the accommodations you make when you live, especially in a developing nation like
But I
Madagascar.
think because of your experience too, you're more open to
Right,
exploring. You
right.
know, we are just so spoiled because
Yeah,
we're like, we have our PPO, I gotta go
pass
to
your
my doctor. Right.
Mhm.
So because we've lived outside of the US, I think our mindset is a little bit more open and and different. So let's talk about that because that is something that is very important to we get those questions also on those pages. It's like, I'm 75, I'm coming. And I'm like, if you have mobility issues and you have like 5 or 6 different chronic illnesses, you have got to really understand if you're going to move to a different country, you have no support, you need to take a step back.
If you're
And not
not gonna,
everybody can blast it like that.
right, if you're not going to take care of your body, how's your body going to take care of you?
Right. And the
Not going
thing
to
is,
do.
if
I
you're
mean,
55
talk
and
about
you
going to the gym and doing all this weights and stuff, but just
yeah,
eating better. Stop
yeah,
smoking. Stop drinking. I mean, I still smoke weed, but that's gonna happen. And the weed in Madagascar is terrible, by the way. Oh my God, head city. So it's nice
I
to
saw
like.
that question you posted in Panama. Panama is not better either, but
Is it?
I know
Is
you
it,
can get it. I don't know.
is it legal in Panama? Do you know?
I have no
No,
idea.
no.
People
Yeah.
say they can get it. I don't know.
Oh yeah. I
That's
mean,
not
all
my
you
expertise.
all you got to do is ask any taxi driver. All you got to do is,
Oh,
and they know all the taxi drivers all over the world. They know where to get you weed. That's a trick I learned.
hey, that's one of the perks of being a worldwide traveler, right?
Right.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow. But anyway, so again, let's talk about. I have my little question here, so I
I'm
want
shutting
to
up now. Go ahead. Okay.
yeah, I don't want to waste your time. We did the intro and we talked about why we're doing this because we want to address the issues that are pertinent to the retiree community, I would say. Because our needs and our concerns, I feel, are different. You know, we have on those pages, people say, I'm coming with 2 kids. How are the schools? You know, people talk about homeschooling. I'm not interested in that kind of stuff. So I scroll past the
Right.
list. I think it would be nice to have a place where all the questions are about retirement, health, safety, legal, you know, like advance directives. Do you have your stuff in order? Do you have your paperwork, you know, in terms of your kids? There was a question the other day about, oh, can you call 911? Those are the things we need to know wherever we're going, right? So
Yeah.
that something happens, you have an emergency. How do you access help? So all this stuff, we would like to put that in one repository, you can have access to it. So retirement again, like I said, I don't like that word because it says that when I think of retiring something, I feel like it's like putting it on the side, you put it away, right? And we as SASI retirees, we're not gonna be sitting on the side. We wanna still be active. We
Let me
wanna give back like you.
let me tell you that the Malagasy term for requirement is misutru renunu, which means drink milk.
Oh,
So in Madagascar, when someone says they're drinking milk, that means they're retired.
you're
And
retired.
I mean, so I can actually relate to that a better because it's like, okay, I'm doing something as opposed to retirement, which sounds like you're just sitting home in front of a TV, just vegetating, doing nothing.
Right, right.
Um,
And that's it. That is a recipe for disaster because as a nurse, I can tell you, I have so many people that I know who said, oh, I'm going to retire. I'm going to visit and see all the grandkids. We're going to travel. We're going to go on cruises. And 6 months into retirement,
what happens?
one thing after another starts to go wrong,
Mm-hmm,
right? They start getting sick. So that means the trip that you were waiting for, saving money for 30 years, you don't get to take that trip. So we need to kind of change that mindset and just live. Whatever you want to do it now. If you can do it now. If you want to travel, you want to learn something, you want to open a 501c3, whatever it is that Marisa is doing, do it now. Don't wait. So don't think about retirement like that.
I see these on the Facebook groups. People say, "Oh, I have so many hundreds of $1,000 saved up. Is that enough for me to move to such and such?" I'm like, I moved with nothing, and
Right?
I didn't have my social security card. All I had was the $200 a month Peace Corps was paying me to live on, which
Right,
was not nearly enough. But
right,
the thing is, I have decided for the rest of my life to live a simple life. And that's
exactly.
fine for me. I don't need to own all this stuff. When I left my apartment in Madagascar, I gave away all my furniture. I gave away everything, sewing machines, the whole works to people I cared about. Because who needs the stuff?
Exactly.
But some people need to own a house. They need to own a car. I see people wanting to ship their whole households in their cars. I'm like, why? Why all
Yes.
this stuff? When you
They're
let go of,
bringing cartons of stuff.
yes, and when you let go of the stuff, it's so
It's
liberating.
a weight, yeah.
Now I can just go.
I
And
know.
and
But you
that,
know,
that,
I feel like in America and I guess in the Western world, maybe not Western world, because in Europe they don't think like we do. You know, Europeans can spend their whole life renting an apartment. They take their 4 week holiday every single year,
right,
not a week at a time. They're gone for a month
right,
because
right,
holiday, that's a cultural thing. In
right.
our culture, we are told, and I'm as guilty as the next parent, especially as an immigrant parent. You tell that kid, you go to college, you get a job, make some money, and then you work for 40 years and then you retire. We're bought into the lie.
Yeah.
Once they get a job, what's the next step? Oh, I have to buy a place. I have to buy a condo. I have to buy the car. But not understanding that when you buy a car, you're paying three times the cost of that car by the time you finish paying it. It's a thing around your neck
Yeah, it
for
is.
30 years.
It is. It is. And
And
so
then
when I,
a
yeah,
car now costs as much as a house used to cost.
yeah, I sold my house, paid off all my debt,
$40,000 car. I was
and
driving a Volvo that cost like $45,000. And I'm like, why in the world am I doing that?
right.
And we all know that the moment you take the car off the lot, it devaluates.
Yeah.
You're never going to recoup your money.
No.
So those are all mindsets that people need to change. And then you go 401k, which is a great idea. Then the financial planners tell you, oh no, you need, by the time, with your lifestyle, you need $2 million by the time to retire. So you killing yourself working to accumulate $2 million. And then when you retire, you pick the bucket. And who gets the money?
Yeah, exactly.
Your kids and
Exactly.
whoever. If you don't have kids, somebody. So we need to change the mindset. And I think a lot of the other channels are doing a good job. Stephanie Perry, Adelia, and all of them
Yeah.
telling people how to become digital nomads.
Right.
My personal advice would be like you, live a simpler life.
Hmm.
Like I move into a new apartment and I'm like, I'm just buying the basics. I have one plate, one bowl. I'm like, I have to go to the store now and get like a set of four in case somebody
So in case
somebody
someone
comes to
comes
the
over
house.
from,
Then I'm like, well, I can always buy paper.
I love the freedom that less
You
gives.
want to be lightened and
Yeah.
not weighed down by all this stuff.
And like my plan to go, and now I'm going to do a workaway in Guatemala for a couple months. And then after that, maybe El Salvador.
Word,
I'm just going to jump around Central America for a while. And then
wrap around.
I want to get to Asia. I want to get back to Africa for sure. But
Mhm.
not having stuff allows me to just pick. I've got one backpack, a carry on, and one.
That's it. I travel
That's
with one
everything
backpack now.
I
I know.
do. And so the way the money works is my Social Security goes to my U.S. bank account every month.
Hmm.
My ATM card anywhere in the world to pull out cash. And when I lived in Madagascar, I put some of that cash into my Malagasy savings account at a bank,
Hmm.
and then I'd have cash, on hand. So I had money in a couple, but it all came from the Social Security going into my U.S. bank account. So there's no need to have your money go into a bank in Panama or wherever you live. Just leave it in the U.S. and you,
Right.
yeah, it's so easy.
Yeah.
And some
Well,
of the
every country, I think it works a little different. In Panama, we have to have like
yeah, well, if you
a
want to be
local bank account
bank,
because a lot of retailers or business people, they're not gonna, they'll take your credit card from the US. Don't get me wrong. But if you want to buy things from the side of the road, you need to have cash. So you have to find a way to get cash.
yeah, Madagascar cash is king, and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
for me to become a legal resident alien, I had to have a local bank account as well. But I
Mhm.
did have savings. I really didn't use it.
But you don't put all your money in that account either, right?
No,
You just
no, no way, no way,
exactly,
no way, no way.
exactly. So, I totally agree that retirement should be looked at because, like I said, if we're healthy, we take care of ourselves, we could have lived another 30, 40 years. So, what are we going to do? Looking forward, like you're already going to be bumping around, but like myself, I remember sitting on the balcony here and I said, okay, let me do my 2024 goals. I do that. I don't call it, what do they call usually a
Resolution,
January 1st? Yeah,
resolution,
I
yeah,
don't,
yeah,
I don't do New Year's resolutions.
right.
I do goals. Like I had 7 main goals for 2023. I reached 4. I didn't reach all of them, but that's okay.
Good,
And you change it and you rearrange it and you reframe it and you add it to 24 if it's doable, or you might just, put it away. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do for this year? And that's why when you talk about retirement, I'm always thinking ahead. I'm always planning. I'm always exploring. When somebody said, oh, what am I going to do with my time? I used to think that. I used to believe because I was a workaholic. Let me tell you, I've done a lot of firsts. I was on multiple boards. My kids played 2 or 3 sports. And I was doing things to myself now that I know were harmful. But I did not see the light until I was in my 50s. And I'm hoping that kids, the millennials now, can see because they're thinking like us. Those millennials do not believe in working 2, 3 jobs and just not having any time off. They don't do that.
No,
My
they don't.
daughter, let me tell you, the millennial, I hope she's not watching. She, she don't believe in working, killing herself for work. No, no, no. She's
Our
like, oh no,
our our kids are wiser than we are.
and much
My,
wiser. So
my
she
daughter's
is prioritizing her health. And I'm like, go for it because what I believe was not right, was not right. To work 40 hours. And when I left my job, it was so funny. I had a business in 2004. First of all, I don't know if you knew that. I used to own a home care company. I ran that for like 13 years.
okay.
And then on call 24/7. I remember being in a
Right.
movie theater watching a movie. My phone was always with me, and Kathy's watching. She's a nurse. She knows what I'm talking about. I never could finish a movie,
Yeah.
the whole thing because somebody would be calling me. I
Just
remember, I remember going and sitting, doing an 11 to 7 shift with a little dementia patient because I didn't have anybody to do it. Driving in the middle of the night at 10:30 to hang an IV, you know,
whoa.
things
Whoa.
like that. Because when you own a business in the US, it owns you.
Yeah.
Okay, it owns you. So you did all this stuff. I don't know why. Maybe you want people to talk about you, you want the recognition, you want to feel good about yourself. You tell yourself this is what success looks like. And in the meantime, your kids may be, going away astray, your relationship may be going to parts, and your health is it's just not worth it. So all of us now are taking a step back. In my 50s, I started sitting and looking and say, you know what? I understand the world order now. I understand the things that I can take on that I might make a difference. And I realized that the system I couldn't do anything about. And it was like an aha moment for me. Like people talk about white supremacy, the workplace, and all these things. That's way beyond what I could do. But what you and I can do, one on one, in our own small communities, whatever we can do, we do. And I remember when I was in South Africa and I was talking to the young people, and I looked at them and I'm like, I'm amazed, and I really want to congratulate you that you're leaving everything that is there waiting for you and to leave all that income, because a lot of them were doing it for their resume. This guy did not pass his MCAT to go to med school. They have all their reasons for joining. But still, I felt that they were in a better place where they're at than where I was at that age. Because at that age, I was like,
Right. Right.
right?
Right. Right.
So the mindset and the shift that is happening, and for me to, in my 50s, to realize, why did I have to do all this? Why did I allow my kids to play 3 sports while I'm working 12-hour shifts?
Right.
Saturdays and Sundays, I'm at the office.
And you could never.
Why?
Yeah, you couldn't see the games and stuff because you were working.
You never catch up,
Right.
right? And then finally, I saw the light, and I'm like, you know what? This is not going to work. This is not sustainable. And when I took that job, after I sold the business, I went to culinary school, ran a cafe for a couple of years, and then when that fell apart, went back to school, became a nurse practitioner. And then I was starting to think about, I don't want to be working myself to death anymore. I just want to let go of things. And then there was a time where I put a vacation request, and this young woman who was she was so full of herself and her position as the one who hired me. I was already in my 50s. And
Right.
then she would love to tell me, well, I'm your supervisor. I'm your supervisor. Okay, okay. Right?
Mhm.
So I put the request for the vacation, and she said, "Well, so and so requested vacation before you. Denied. You cannot approve this vacation." But I was gonna go abroad. I said, "Oh, okay." So I went home. I wrote my letter. I remember when I hit that send.
Bye. See ya.
She
Wouldn't
was so shocked. She's like, "Oh my God, oh my God." I said, "Yeah." I said, "No." I said, "I'm done." Because I was on the road all the time, traveling from one city to another. I said, "I'm too old to be doing that. I'm not doing that anymore." So this is how retirement came like on a spur of the moment.
good
And
for
I'm
you.
like, you know what? Through with this system. I'm not doing this anymore. And I'll tell you, I haven't been bored a day in my life. I'm traveling. I'm creating things that I never thought I would create. So retirement is another lifestyle.
Retirement is the best job I ever had. Quite because I get to define
I love it. I love it.
because I get to define my life now. And
Yeah.
one of the things I'm doing is I'm always trying to find jobs for my Malagasy English speaking friends back
I
in
see that. I see that.
And let me just clarify for the listeners. In Madagascar, the people are called the Malagasy. The Malagasy
Well,
people speak the Malagasy language in Madagascar. So the Malagasy speak Malagasy in Madagascar. So
right.
I've got all these Malagasy friends who are just trying to escape poverty. It's one of the poorest nations on the planet. And unfortunately, working on a cruise ship making $900 a month is a whole lot of
A
money to
lot
them.
of money for them.
So if I
Yeah.
get them a job on a cruise ship or as a flight attendant or something like that, I'm doing it. So I've got all these kids right now. I've got a notebook over 80 CVs, resumes that am working on or have completed to try to clean them up to get them up to international standards so they can even submit them and cleaning up the English and you know how the CV they'll just the first thing they do is put a picture on it. First thing I take the picture off, and they'll put like I was a housekeeper. They don't say where or when. They don't say what
But
they
they don't know. They don't know.
and I was a waitress and that's all they'll put. And I'm like wait. And so what I'm asking is so that's one of the things I'm doing. I spend a lot of time going back
Yes.
and forth corresponding with them, trying to
But
help
that is so great, though. That is so great. You
because they're
poured
not
into
taught.
their life.
They don't
Hmm. They
they
don't
don't
know.
but the way that they teach one another, because this is not taught in the school, and I wish it was, but they teach one and the first thing they think is you have to have your photo. I'm like, first thing you do is take the photo off, no photo on your CV. And then they'll put their date of birth, their place of birth, their mother's maiden, their CIN, which is like the social security number,
Hmm.
their favorite color, their celibate. They'll put all kinds of stuff. Yeah, so that's common. And then they'll put like
Yeah.
every resume this guy sent me had everything on it except his name. Everything. He had how many dogs he had, all kinds of
On
shit.
the TV.
They forgot his name, and because they don't know.
Oh.
And you gotta love
Yeah.
them. They're
Yeah.
trying their best. They don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm spending a lot of my time doing that. And if I see
But
like,
that is great, Lisa. That is so great.
thank
And right now, I think I'm at a point where I'm trying to discover what I can do because, putting my skills into practice. I did psych nursing. I was a psychiatric nurse practitioner. I certified in aging, gerontology. And this is what my focus is going to be. And that's why I want to do this for the retirement community and see how we can, like this woman told me about her sister being disabled. I've always wanted to have like some kind of a community where we are kind of accountable and responsible to each other. If somebody has an emergency, that somebody say, I'm there, because you need that level of community when you move. And that's why a lot of the groups, they're really tight, some of them, and they do things together. I think today they're having some kind of beach day, one of those groups, and they do touring and they do a lot of things. I mean, I'll do a little bit of that, but I'm just not a social butterfly like that.
I don't want to be around a whole lot of old people. I mean, honestly, I'm 67, but I don't feel 67.
So you want to be
In my
around the young ones?
Yeah, so in my mind, I'm still money. I'm running around with youngsters. Old folks, now I ain't got time for that.
Well, they have a lot of that here. They have a organization called Internations. They do a lot of, they go out to dinner, listening to jazz and music
Oh,
and stuff. And
okay.
even then, I'll do maybe once in a while.
Okay.
I'm not going to be out every single week going out to dinner and
Right.
stuff like that. I'm more of a home person, on the computer and doing other things. So I'm exploring the things that I can do that marriage, aging with the needs of the community. And one thing I'm going to be getting some training in. I'm just putting it out there because it's going to happen. Booked for like a 2-day virtual training to become what we call an international travel companion. Because you can have
Oh, what a nice.
older people with, let's say, dementia or some kind of a physical disability. They want to travel. Maybe they want to attend somebody's wedding, but nobody's available. People are working and busy. Here I come. So I can go with them,
Oh, that's
and
great.
then you're managing, you're making your love of travel and your experience together. So, that's one thing I'm looking at doing in 2024. In addition to trying to create a type of community where people have a way to, address their issues. If they need some help, how do you call 911? Medical. I'm exploring insurances right now, because I do have Medicare, but I used to believe that a couple of the plans in the US you could use here, but in November, that was the sign up time in November and December, and I just could not find one
There are none.
that
There
would
are none.
work here in Panama.
Maybe
So,
I would think Panama would be an exception because of the canal and the history of that. I thought
yeah,
Panama might be an exception, and
the,
Guam.
the veterans apparently don't have much of an issue. You're vets if you were in the armed forces in the service, but
But I
other
was, but
people,
Maggie, as I said, in Madagascar, everything I did was out of pocket, and it was at a fraction of what I would have paid in the U.S. I would think
it is here too.
it would be the same.
It is here
So why even bother?
too.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's this one white guy in El Salvador who's got an
Mhm.
excellent series of videos on YouTube that
Mhm.
talks about why it doesn't make sense to buy health insurance when you're living abroad. And he
Yeah. The
found
insurance most.
if you put $200 a month away into this only your sick fund and
Mhm.
only use this for medical expenses, at the end of the year, if you haven't used it, then you
You
can
got
do
$2,400.
something with it, start again. So this is basically money because you're not going to spend $200 a month,
I like that. I like that.
but
I
it's
like that.
because that way, if you have a catastrophic illness, that $200
That's that's the only thing. That's when I talk about health insurance for retirees who are here and looking at getting health insurance. That's really what we're looking at. Catastrophic insurance, right?
Yeah,
People pay out of pocket to go to the doctor to get their teeth cleaned, their
right.
eye doctor, food doctor, to get their medical checkup.
Okay,
Everybody pretty much pays out of pocket.
okay, okay.
What we're talking about, let's say you were in a car accident. I'm in those streets every single day. What if the bus rolls over? You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
This is the kind of insurance we're looking at. We call it catastrophic health.
Uh-huh.
And then also to be medevac if you need
Yeah.
to go back to the US for something major. And that's all people are looking. But I like the idea of putting some money every single month, in the envelope. Some people do the envelope thing. And then that way you have it.
Envelope's too hard for me. If I know that cash is around and I run, I'm gonna pay it back.
Yes,
No,
yes, I know, I
or put
know.
it
But
away.
anybody gets in, at the bank too. It's so easy to use that ATM card.
Yeah.
If I go to the ATM, I take cash out, I go and spend it.
I got hit by a Bajaj, which is a tuk-tuk, from behind in Madagascar a couple of years ago, and I got hurt pretty hard, pretty bad. I ended up with a groin injury. I couldn't lift my leg. I couldn't go up and down stairs. I ended up in the hospital, MRI, doctor's visits, physical therapy, X-rays, everything combined was less than $200. And this was, I don't, you can't see because my elbow broke the windshield of the Bajaj that was going by,
Yeah.
and then the guy wanted me to pay to repair his windshield
It
because
is so.
because I'm an American.
You have money.
And one of my friends says, "Don't give him a dime," because if I was Malagasy, no way in the world he would have asked me.
Exactly.
Just
Yeah.
knocked me down and hit me, just threw me across.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got to
Mm-hmm.
pay for the damages.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, that happens here too, where you do get gringo prices for anything.
Uh-huh.
But we do have really good health care here.
You
People
do.
go
You
to
do.
the doctor, they're very happy with how long the physicians or the provider talk to them, do the medication. And most of them are bilingual, they speak good English.
Mm-hmm.
They're trained in the US. So healthcare, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of access, is not an issue. It's just you want the comfort of knowing you have something if you have an emergency. You have to have emergency surgery. Because most of these hospitals, they want you to use their credit card. You go in there, you're an American, they just say, give us your green card, I mean your green card, your credit card, and then they say, okay, we're gonna do an advance of $5,000. After everything is done, if there's anything left, we'll reimburse you. So you got to have your credit card and pay out of pocket. But if you have a little bit of some kind of insurance, then it kind of mitigates it. You don't have to pay the whole thing.
I
So that's
think
how it works.
some of the other questions that come up that people ask about is like, what's dating like? And
Mhm.
in my case, I didn't realize that vaginal atrophy is a thing. I found out the hard way.
You are a mess. You forgot your KY?
Girl.
Oh, I hope you don't get this video doesn't get taken down.
I thought I was too young, but I've been there 4 years, and I dated this Malagasy man briefly, and Malagasy
I remember those quotes. I
was
was
terrible.
cracking up.
So, it took some work, but I finally was able
Yeah.
get her working again. But
Yeah.
ooh, that's the thing. So I'm just telling you, ladies, if you don't use it, you can lose it.
Well, I don't have any experience in that area because I taken myself off the market. I am not interested. I like being in my little house by
I am.
myself.
I'm
I
telling you,
am
I
not
don't want to.
looking.
I don't want to live the rest of my life without sex. Woo, no way. I love sex.
Okay. All right, Mama
But at the
Lisa.
same time, I don't want lousy sex. I want good sex. So,
Good.
and that's
Hmm.
why I waited so long in Madagascar, because in Madagascar, the sex was terrible. So I waited until I left Madagascar. I'm like, okay, great. Let me call this old boyfriend and that old boyfriend, and then found out lady parts are like on strike. Oh my God. That was a rude awakening. Oh my God.
Well, I think somebody posted that question on one of the Facebook pages here. They're like, well, how is dating for the 60 plus or whatever? She's like asking for a friend. The people are like, don't come to Panama looking for that. Among the expat community, maybe, but not a Panamanian guy. They're
Right.
very young. They have their band on, and well, anyway. I had a taxi driver when I got robbed. He was taking me back and forth, and then he's like, talking about I'm divorced. And it's like, are you married? I'm not having divorced. I'm like, you. He said, I'm married. Okay, well, where's your wife? Oh, she's in the U.S. somewhere in Texas or whatever. That's good. He said, no. She comes back maybe once every 2 years or so. I'm like, oh my goodness, how is that getting married? He's like, well, I'm supposed to marry you. And I'm like,
Oh, that sounds like a keeper.
I'm like, no, no, thank you. I'm not looking. No, no, I'm not interested. So I don't have any advice to give anybody on that score because I don't know. I don't go out that much, and I don't know. I went to a meeting the other day, and this old guy, it was an expat group, and he said, "My name is so and so." And he's like, "I'm single. I'm not looking for a wife."
Got to clarify it. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for telling.
But I think but I think that's something that all,
Oh
well, women, period, when you travel,
my God.
one of the first questions to taxi drivers is where's your husband? Because they see you're an American
Yeah.
and you got money, and you got money
Green
coming out
card.
of every orifice. So I gotta get
Yeah.
you. And
Yeah.
not interested.
Yeah.
Not
No.
But they
No.
because they see all they see is wealthy American.
Yeah.
And if they only knew how cheap
Right?
my
That
life.
we're not really wealthy. Yeah. Well, personally, myself, I don't like to put myself out there. I would never tell somebody, oh, this is how much I get for security. People ask all kind of questions about how much you pay for your apartment.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
going to ask you
no,
that,
no, that's
right?
business.
Some
No,
questions are supposed to be private, and but people go out there and tell their business. Well, that is their business. I'm not here to criticize anybody for how much information. I just know that I'm on social media, I share, but you're not going to see anything about my personal life on there. I just don't. I just love when they say in a relationship. I say, okay, but when you out, are you going to put something else to say I'm out of a relationship? Why? You don't need to put all that stuff in there.
well,
What is it?
when I lived in Madagascar, I lived a very really plush life for less than
Wow.
1,000 a month. I mean, the
Wow.
dollar was very strong, and I was able to live in a beautiful, gorgeous, huge luxury apartment with security and 2 bedrooms. And I mean, it was just massive. It was just a beautiful, beautiful place, great neighborhood. And I tell people, they said, how much is the rent going to pay? I said, they said, like, I have 2,000 a month to rent. I said, you could live anywhere in
Mhm.
that much. I said, but I was paying like $250 a month, and I don't
Wow.
mind sharing how many, because I'm showing them that you don't have to save, as you were saying,
Right.
you don't have to work to save up 2 million for your retirement if you're going to live a simple life and if you're going to live out overseas. Because on my Social Security, if I was going to live in the U.S., I'd have to live with one of my kids. There's no way I could afford to
Oh
live
no,
a comfortable
yeah. Well,
life
for me
anywhere.
that was a no-brainer. That wasn't gonna happen.
Right.
I mean, I was in my house, in a gated community, and I was like, you get up every day, you're retired,
Mm-hmm.
you look around, and it's like, okay, what else is there? What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So I was like, there's no way I can stay here. This is a recipe for depression and all kind of diseases to get on you. No, no, you need to get up out of here and do something, right? And I did it. And I'm one of those, if I'm reviewing, researching something, I'll do my research and then I'm going to make a decision. I don't have, what do they call it? Analysis paralysis or whatever. You have to have every question, everything lined up to make a decision.
Where were
Don't do that.
where were you living before you came to Panama?
I was in Florida.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, my house is still in Florida. In fact, my house is being leased now
Oh, okay. Oh,
because
good.
I had it on the market and then the prices went down and then they were
Right.
like, oh, you need to drop
So you
the
have
price.
extra income. That's
What
great.
you
Yeah.
doing? I'm like, I'm not doing that. I
I
can
didn't
hang
want to
on
be a
to it.
landlord. I had done that before, and I said, let
Mhm.
me just sell
No,
everything.
I'm not a landlord.
Uh,
I have a management company and it's working really well. This is it.
Wonderful.
They just
That,
renewed their lease and I have no issues. Now, of course, I keep up with the maintenance. I schedule all the things and then the guy's very responsive. He
oh,
pays
excellent.
a small percentage of the rent. Oh, it works fine for us. Yeah. I
Yeah.
couldn't be a landlord.
Yeah.
I couldn't be a
That's
landlord.
wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. I'm really glad to hear.
Yeah, yeah, but and again, if somebody is listening and they're thinking of black sitting, and there's so much information out there, you really have to do your homework to see is it possible and where you can go. People talk about Panama. Yes, it is warm. If you don't like warm, you can go somewhere else in the interior, which is fine. Now, having left the Peace Corps, I thought I would enjoy being in Bokete, one of those in the mountains. I love the mountains, but I don't like scorpions and I don't like snakes. I don't like bugs. So
Yeah.
now I learned something about myself that's not going to make up for the mountains and the view.
Yeah.
It's not going to work for me. So know thyself. I always say that. Know thyself. Know what's important to you. And then now my task is to figure out how am I going to live an active life while I'm serving others. So I am trying to, and when you're retired, you have the luxury of taking the time to think through things. You get up in the morning, you're in your bed and you're on your phone, you're looking at stuff, you're doing research because you're not stressed, you're not rushed. So you can take the time to think through things and make your plans and then execute your plan. So anything else we can talk about, Mama Lisa? You
Um,
go to Guatemala
yeah,
and
for,
then
for
possibly Costa Rica.
yeah, yeah. Hopefully, Peace Corps will make me the offer for Costa
Yeah,
Rica.
her.
Oh, the guy's interested, but I had to take the Spanish test, which I did today, and I uploaded my scores. And depending upon if my scores are good enough, they'll either offer me the position in Costa Rica or they won't. I hope they will, because Peace Corps' um, recruitment numbers are way down since COVID, and since I'm a former Peace Corps volunteer,
Yes,
I think
you
that
really
I
take
know they're
preference.
interested. I'm ready
Yeah.
to go. I've lived the Peace Corps life before. I'm hoping they'll make me the offer for Costa Rica, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I said, if they had something that was office related, but the way I left, I'm sure I'm on the naughty list.
no, 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 no. Don't think that at all.
Really?
There's a lady in Madagascar right now who's done Peace Corps
Yeah.
3 times, and she ET twice, and then the third time she had to do a field separation when they shut everything down for COVID.
Right,
And
right,
so even though she had done the ET once, they let her back in. She did an ET a second time. ET means early termination.
right.
And then a field separation is mean that the Peace Corps is shutting down, but it's not a ding against you. So it
Mhm,
depends on why you did the ET. And
mhm.
in your case, because it
But
was,
for me, in my case, because I did not meet the score, the required scoring, and which is pretty much what, you know, on the document.
okay,
Uh,
but suppose you decided you wanted to go work in an English speaking country. There are a lot of Peace Corps in a lot of English speaking countries. If you wanted to do Peace Corps again, don't think it automatically cuts you off because you did an ET. That's not true.
but at this point, though, in my life as a retiree, I
Yeah.
don't think I want to be tied down to
Yeah.
something like before that's going to require you to be present
Yeah.
every day. I want to be able to travel and get up and go. And if I
Well,
got to do something online, I can do it and go from
yeah.
wherever. But I don't want to be tied down and feel like it's a job.
Yeah, that's true. I
Yeah.
understand.
Uh,
Other
so
thing
it's
that
a change in mindset.
so I guess the only thing I'd want to say is, as you said, for people to know thyself, you got to
Mhm.
determine what kind of lifestyle that you're comfortable living in. A lot of people
Correct.
need to have their own home and their own car.
Right.
That's true. Then you have to understand the expenses that are going to be needed, the kind
Right.
of need, but
Right.
are willing to let some of that stuff go and live a simpler life, stretch the envelope a little. You can do a lot more. You can do so much more in life.
I think a lot of people are more comfortable with the, what do we call that? Becoming minimalist in terms of thoughts, and
Yeah.
even they had a woman who had like tiny house, just scaling down the stuff that you don't need three televisions in your house. You don't need a two-story, five-bedroom house. Every time I look at it, I'm like, ooh, that's all the dust and things between. No, I don't feel that. So it's a mind shift. Just like I tell people, last year when I decided to go plant-based, it started here because I had been doing a lot of things. I was eating right, I wasn't eating a lot of carbs, I was working out moderately, but then I went to see the doctor. My A1C was tripping up, my blood pressure was up, my cholesterol was up the chain, and it's
Wow.
like, okay, ching ching, something got to give. And I walked out, and it was a nurse practitioner. She said, "What are we going to do?" I said, "I know it's this weight. I just need to get rid of it. Whatever I was doing is not working, so I need to do it." And it started right here. And the next day, I went to my kitchen, I cleaned up my cupboard, and then I went on a full plant day. I started working out every day. I'm telling you, by January, I had lost 40 pounds.
Wonderful. Yeah,
October.
I lost 30 pounds during the Peace Corps. And I think the reason is because, and then when I came back to the US, I gained it all back in like a month, two, because the food here is so fatty and
So
so
bad.
chemicals. In Madagascar, it's basically rice, a lot of rice, 3 meals a day. They eat more rice per capita than any other
I
country.
saw that,
And
anywhere else in the
but
world.
but there's all these fresh fruits and vegetables, and it's a full farm to table. And because I was doing a lot more walking everywhere, the weight was just couldn't stay on. I was just so much more healthy. And I come back here and I'm eating sun chips. You know, those damn sun chips just, girl, I sat up here one day
Don't blame
and
the
I had
sunshine.
two big bags of sun chips and just polished them off one after the other. And
Watching
I,
TV,
and
yes,
I,
yes.
I like my bras are getting tight and you know, everything's getting tight because I'm just balloon
Even the one.
girl, like a ballpark Frank. So, so now
Well, people say they lose weight here in Panama because the food is much healthier.
yes.
But they
And
eat a lot of rice here too.
yeah, I think it's developing nations as a whole. They don't
It's
have
cheaper.
American food is so chock full of chemicals and
It's
fat.
terrible. And
And
my daughter was struggling with certain things, the inflammation that we have, not just with COVID, but all the food that we're eating keep us in an inflamed state that
yes,
just is not conducive to health. So I keep telling her stuff, and I'm like, chicken, you need to get rid of chicken. She's like, "Really?" I'm like, yes. She said, you don't eat chicken? I said, no, I don't anymore. There is one soup here they make, some culture, that is the national dish of Panama. I make an exception because you have to have some meat in it. So maybe once a month I'll
yeah.
have some kosher, and that's it. And I started adding a little fish because I needed some protein, but I don't like tofu.
Oh, see,
But
and I make my own tofu. I love
I
tofu.
know I saw
Yeah,
that.
I love
I saw
tofu.
that.
Yeah, it's my
But
thing.
anyway, again, no, that's out. You got choices, right?
Yeah.
So
So
anyway,
yeah,
we've been talking. Go
but
ahead.
I think what you're trying to do though is a wonderful thing, and I thank you for asking.
Uh, thank
So I
you.
thank you for all that you do, all your posts that you're sharing, your journey around the world. It's inspiring to people that you
Oh,
realize. And I
thank
think when
you.
people see that we can blacks it, like I'm here in the States now.
We can
I
back
can't
it.
believe I don't belong here. I don't like it here. I don't like the United States anymore. Well, I don't know if I ever did,
But
but
I,
especially now, black person. See, when I was in Madagascar, I never thought about the fact that my skin was brown. But here, you never get a chance to forget it. You're
you
always
never forget it. Every single day.
in the microaggressions, the macroaggressions. You
Ooh,
cannot
yeah.
escape the systemic racism and the gun.
Listen, listen. But there's some communities here in Panama where they congregate, right?
Oh
And then the same thing is just
yeah.
coming up. I remember I was
That's why I hated Belize. Is the systemic
yeah,
racism in Belize was almost as bad
they
as
bring
US.
it here. Okay,
Yeah,
that's why I like
that's
to see.
exactly what they do. They all these
Yeah,
expat Canadians and Americans come down here and they bring their
yeah,
race issues with them and they self segregate in their little gated community. I'm like,
yeah.
Lord,
And
just
that's
like
happening in a certain community here in Panama. And I went to a store, a food store, so I'm there. And then this guy, I know he's American, he was coming down that aisle. We locked eyes. And we could read each other, right? And I could see in his face, it's like, another one. What the H are you doing? And I looked at him and I said, if I was close enough, I would have said, relax, I'm just visiting, I'm leaving.
you know,
It's
you know,
like,
I
no, I don't want to be there. No.
and see when I was Peace Corps, I really had nothing to do, very little to do
Yeah,
in my stage.
yeah,
Because I didn't come to Madagascar to hang out with a bunch of Americans. Okay.
right,
And
right.
there was another woman my age in my stage, but she quit the day before we signed in, before we swore in.
Ooh,
Um,
ooh.
it's a long story. Poor thing. She's a sweetheart. She
Yeah,
had a military background, and she thought the Peace Corps was going to be very militaristic. And when she got
militarized.
not,
Oh,
she said no, it was not a right fit for her. But I mean, we're still friends and everything. So I was the only one. Everybody else in my stage was in their 20s, and so we really didn't have a whole lot in common. And um, and I was fine being off to myself and not having
mhm.
anything to do with them because these kids, everywhere they went, they brought drama with them. I'm like, I don't need the drama. But
Yeah,
and one thing I said in my exit interview with Peace Corps was I wish the Peace Corps would assemble a stage maybe once a year with only mature adults because it's the energy, the synergy, the everything's going to be different. when you
It
bring
is.
people in
It
and
is.
youngsters who, a lot of them have never lived away from home ever, and it gives bring a whole different taste and feel to Peace Corps. But
Mhm.
I don't.
But you know, I was in the Peace Corps only for 3 months, and for
Right.
a whole week for practicum,
You did Peace. Yeah.
we did like classes. I don't know if you saw some of the pictures and the
Right.
classes that we did. And in talking to this group of young people who were themselves going into the community and interacting with the population, and what we taught them, they asked me to talk about depression, anxiety, femicide, gender violence, you know, all the things that I'm comfortable with. And once we, after the week was when we were winding down, and to see the shift in how in their thought process was so inspiring to me. So I'm like, even though I wasn't there for the full 2 years, I knew I'd touched some lives because
Yes.
we had like 24 of them and we were going to send them out. I said, even though I was there for a short time, maybe that was my assignment. So I take, you know, courage in knowing that even though I didn't stay, I was still able to touch some lives.
I'm glad
So
you did as much as you did, though, because most people our age, they figure, oh, I'm too old for Peace Corps. I'm like, when I served, the oldest person in the Peace Corps at the time was 85 years old. She wasn't in Madagascar,
I
but
think they have up to 90.
yes, they've had them in their 90s.
Mhm.
For as long as you can manage your health on your own, Peace Corps
Yeah.
will supply your meds and everything. As long as they don't have to medevac you out of middle of nowhere, you're good. I mean,
Mhm.
I was medevac. I told you ended up in the hospital, but that whole black mold thing was just like off the hook. But in Madagascar, they don't understand the whole black mold thing. They said, "Oh, it's just don't touch it, you'll be fine." No, it's not like that. It's not at all.
I know. I was watching a program yesterday where this young lady had caught some kind of stomach bug that she had to medevac too. It was so bad. So, I mean, you know, you do take a risk and you do put your life in your hand that something could happen to you when you go over there. But I just made a decision. Like I said, know thyself, know what you're comfortable with, and I don't want to be in a situation where I'm chronically stressed. That's not what my idea of retirement is. So I made the decision for me and I'm comfortable with it. So, Mama Lisa, I want to thank you so much for being my first guest on this. So what we're going to continue to do here is hopefully people will sign up and build community and bring their questions, and then we research and we just share information with each other, and hopefully one of these days you're going to decide to make a stop in Panama.
I intend to, as I said, I'm going to do this work away in Guatemala for at least 1 month, maybe two. And while I'm down there, see, I can just get on a bus and go from country to country.
Costa Rica, you can come to Panama from Costa Rica on the bus.
Exactly. So you may hear me knocking on your door one day
There you go.
saying,
You
"Hey,
need to
can I
do
sleep on
that. So
your
you're
couch for a
welcome.
month?"
You're welcome. I have an extra bedroom for guests.
I appreciate that. Thank you, my love. I
Oh, thank you so much. And I appreciate those of you who are watching. Cheryl, thank you for watching. Kathy. And if anybody's watching on the replay, this is in service retirement, where we are active retirees. And our goal is to live our best life wherever we decide to go while we are providing service. That's all this is about. And we're going to just share information to make it easy for you to access when you come here, knowing you have a community, you
yeah.
have support, and give you the information you need that you're not by yourself. Because there is nothing worse. You know, I came here to Panama City. I don't make friends very easy, but the couple friends that I have, those are friends that if I need something, they're there. And if they need something, I'm there. One of them had COVID, you know, I was cooking soup. You know, you just take care of each other. So this is what we want to create here. Again, I want to thank you, Mama Lisa. I know you're tired, and I hope everything works with the Peace Corps, that you get your letter,
I hope so too.
uh, your email.
I figured that whatever the universe is going to find some place to send me, and wherever it ends up,
That's
I'm
the thing. If
someplace
one
where I'm
thing doesn't work out, something else better is around the corner. That's the way I see
absolutely
life.
one
Yeah,
door closed is 5,000 open.
there
That's
you go. There
love you,
you
my
go.
darling.
You
Okay.
too. You're looking really good, Miss Mama Lisa.
Thanks, my darling.
All
Take care.
right. You take care. Thank you. Thank
Bye-bye.
you all for watching. Appreciate you. Don't forget to like and join the group, okay? Bye-bye.